What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WWE Network and Show, where I, Graham G. Matthews, break down all the original content I watch on the WWE Network and on Peacock. And today we're talking the June 19th, 2023 edition of Raw Talk, hosted by Matt Camp and Megan Morant. They open up the episode here in the studio, replaying the opening segment with Finn Balor attacking Rollins at the beginning of Raw to kind of thwart the World Heavyweight Championship Open Challenge, prevent it from happening. In the studio, they hype up Rollins and Breakker for tonight's edition of NXT for the World Heavyweight Championship as part of the Gold Rush-themed edition of NXT tonight. Matt Camp says that because of Balor's attack on Rollins, Breakker's chances of beating Rollins, which he won't, just went up, and we'll see what happens tonight on NXT. Kind of weaken Rollins before that match, give Breakker more of a chance. Obviously, he won't win the championship, but I'm looking forward to that match nonetheless. They recap the Nakamura versus Bronson Reed match, won by Bronson Reed, quality match, and the right outcome there as well. Bronson Reed tells Byron Saxton backstage that he's still not in Money in the Bank despite beating Nakamura and Ricochet last week. I think, if not, was it last week that he beat Ricochet by disqualification? I think it was. So he's beaten both of them multiple times now. Nakamura was the one who ended his undefeated streak a couple of weeks ago, and Reed kind of avenged that loss last night on Raw. He says, despite all of that, and standing tall over Ricochet and Nakamura multiple weeks in a row, he still does not have an opportunity. He does not have a spot in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, which isn't exactly true, because he's been saying for weeks now, why are they in the match and not me? Well, it's because you fucking lost. And I love Bronson Reed, but it's like, well, you lost when you were given the opportunity to qualify in the Money in the Bank ladder match a couple of months back, or a couple of weeks back on the Memorial Day edition of Raw. So anyway, not only is he a nice guy, he says, he's also a top guy, and he will continue to wreak havoc until he's given an opportunity. They replay speaking of Money in the Bank, the women's Money in the Bank qualifier between Raquel Rodriguez and Trish Stratus, Trish winning that by disqualification after interference at ringside from Becky Lynch. So in the studio, they hype up the field for the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Bayley, Io, Zelina Vega, Trish Stratus, Becky Lynch, and Zoe Stark all in the matchup. They replay the men's Money in the Bank segment from Monday's Raw with Logan Paul coming back, announcing himself for that matchup, and being interrupted by Ricochet and Nakamura. LA Knight, Butch, Santos Escobar, Damian Priest was not out there. He was in the main event a little bit later on in the show, obviously. LA Knight getting the biggest reaction out of anyone in that entire segment. Amazing moment there. The guy's just super over right now. We hear from him on Raw Talk here, despite being a SmackDown superstar, and I don't give a shit. Give me more LA Knight on Raw Talk, SmackDown Lowdown, I don't care. And it's one of those promos where I can't really recap what he said. It was just a classic LA Knight promo where he doesn't really say anything of importance, but the way that he says it and his delivery is just great. It makes you want to boo, cheer the guy, whatever. He's just awesome. He addresses Logan Paul and basically just says that he's going to win the Money in the Bank ladder match, which I'm a lot less optimistic about now that Logan Paul's in there. Logan Paul has now become the odds-on favorite to win that matchup just by being involved. And I think Logan Paul, honestly, in any other year to win that briefcase, I would not be opposed to. Him even being in the match is great. I just think him or anyone else winning over LA Knight would be incredibly fucking dumb with how over this guy is right now. Just my opinion. Matt Camp says that Logan Paul, if what we've seen from him in the last year and a half in WWE, from what he's done at WrestleMania and the Royal Rumble against Roman Reigns, against Rollins, blah, 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 is any indication of what he's willing to do to get what he wants, he very well could go on to become Money in the Bank, the winner of this year's Money in the Bank ladder match. If he's so willing and so daring and so, whatever, to do whatever's necessary to win that matchup. If he's so, crazy in his aerial offense in that matchup. It's going to be quite the spectacle, to say the least, in that matchup. Regardless of who wins, he does know, as I've mentioned before, not only are none of these men former world champions in WWE, none of them have also won the Money in the Bank ladder match. So we will get a first ever Mr. Money in the Bank coming up next weekend. I was going to say the same thing about the women, but Bayley has won the briefcase before, and I think she's the only one in that match to have done so. Becky Lynch is not. Obviously not Trish or the other women as well. They replay the Ciampa return, the return of Tommaso Ciampa to Monday Night Raw last night. Great moment, answering Mrs. Open Challenge, beating him quickly, coming back as a babyface, great stuff. They also replay the Katana Chance and Kaden Carter win over Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green. We hear from the two of them backstage here at Raw, and they say that Kaden Carter makes mention that they proved that they belong to be here, that being on Raw, with their win last night. And Katana Chance says that they have their sights set still on the WWE Women's Tag Team titles, or I guess really whoever wins the Unification title match coming up on SmackDown on Friday. And then to close out the episode here, they recap the main event, which was a great match. Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn beating the Judgment Day's Finn Balor, Damian Priest, and Dominic Mysterio in six-man tag team action. And they hype up Cody Rhodes versus Dominic Mysterio at Money in the Bank coming up next weekend. They did not plug who would be on the bump this week, which I thought was weird. Usually they do at the end of Raw Talk. They did not this week. I know Matt can't mention on the SmackDown Lowdown, which I also thought was odd. They don't typically advertise guests that early. I don't watch the bump. I don't really care. I just thought it was worth noting for anyone who does watch the show. They mentioned Bayley would be on the show last week on SmackDown Lowdown, and I don't think they mentioned any other guests here. So a shorter show than usual. Really nothing of note was said. LA Knight, as the thumbnail would suggest, is really the only reason to go out of your way to watch this episode. Otherwise, I actually enjoyed Raw last night. If you didn't catch Raw Talk. It kind of catches you up on everything you missed. It would have been nice to hear from like Tommaso Ciampa, for example. But, hearing from LA Knight was still good. We heard from Chance, Carter, and Bronson Reed. Still a good promo, but not really the most eventful edition of Raw Talk this week. Thank you guys for checking out my review. I appreciate it. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more daily content. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews. Have an awesome one, guys, and I'll catch your ass down the road.